Can we start with Reece James? What the latest on his injury?
He's got an injury to the back of his knee area. Not as bad as it could have been, or we maybe thought. So he's in contention for tomorrow, but it's going to be a tight call. So we're going to give him another 24 hours to see if it settles down. It's settled down pretty quickly so far.
That must be a bit of a relief. Were you fearing the worst for a moment?
Yeah, a little bit, because he had injuries at the start of the season, and his ankle really. So I was concerned with that. When it wasn't that, I was quite happy, and now it seems that it's not as bad as it, as I say, could have been. But I won't absolutely count my chickens. But hopefully he'll be involved tomorrow. If not, for the weekend.
Is Marcos Alonso ready to return?
Yes, he's fit and in the squad.
You talked obviously you were frustrated after the game at the weekend, saying we can't practice finishing anymore. Does that hasten the need to bring in an attacking player in this January window?
I think it hastens it. I think it's just the case of we couldn't do any business in the summer window. So at this point, I think it's something that we've seen as being a bit of a problem over some of our home games that we haven't scored. So I think there are two things to do. Firstly, work hard with the group here, and secondly, from a club point of view, my point of view, if we can improve it in areas in terms of goal scoring, then I think it's something we for sure have to look at.
If it perhaps can't be practiced enough, is it something, a mental thing that you can perhaps put your finger on? Is it something that they have to overcome in the mind?
No, I wouldn't just isolate it as that. I think it's many things, and sometimes as a team you can work to get yourself up the pitch and in the 18-yard box and creating chances, and then you do rely on those moments of instinct, of killer instinct, of being calm or whatever it may be, to put the ball away, and it's something that we've fallen short of. So as I say, I think you can practice it, but we certainly need to get better if we want to continue to look upwards, because there's a slight ceiling if you can't do that last bit. It's all good getting into the 18-yard box a lot, but to finish the job is the gold. It's what makes the difference.
Is there anything imminent then in terms of incomings at the moment?
No, not absolutely imminent. No, we're looking, and but nothing to tell you that might happen right away.
I saw last night the PSG director Leonardo saying that Edinson Cavani has asked to leave in this window. Is he someone that you are potentially looking at?
He was a great player. Played against him, and I always loved his mentality and his attitude, and obviously his goal scoring record speaks for itself. I'm not absolutely aware of what the situation is, so we'll see.
His experience, would that add to the group though?
Yeah, I mean, he's an experienced player, but so are many other players out there. So, I think we are young as a squad, and we know about the transitions. So, yeah, the idea of bringing in experience is something I'm certainly not looking absolutely away from, because I think sometimes the younger players need a bit of help, and if that's the case, then that may help us.
And in terms of outgoings, where are we at with Giroud? And there's a lot of chat about Victor Moses at Fenerbahce maybe going to Inter Milan as well.
Yeah, I mean, with Ollie, there's not much more to say than I've kept saying. We know there's been discussions and the idea that he may move on, but it needs to be right for everyone. At this point, it isn't yet. On Victor Moses, he's obviously coming back from his loan with a view to go elsewhere, and those talks are ongoing as well.
John.
Thank you.
Frank, what did you say to the players after the game on Saturday? So it must have been pretty flat, wasn't it, in the dressing room?
Yeah, and I felt for them, because it certainly wasn't for the lack of effort and push and drive. I mean, we pushed for big parts of the game, and I won't keep saying the same thing, but when we had chances, we didn't take them, and that was clear, and that would have won us the game for sure. I think, because I think then at that point it would have changed the dynamic. When you leave a team still in the game, that what happened can happen, and we didn't defend the cross right. We should have headed it away, and I think we could have probably saved it with Kepa with a chance. So those little moments are obviously crucial, but I didn't want to. There's no point in me being negative about that. I think I would be negative if I felt there was a lack of effort, a lack of something. There wasn't. They gave everything, and it just didn't happen for us on the day.
You mentioned Kepa. How would you assess him this season? Because obviously he did come in for criticism on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll always defend all the players, and I think if there are individual errors, I think the players are the first ones to hold their hands up, and I think goalkeepers should be as well. It's quite an isolated, it's a difficult job, because the spotlight is really on you individually. And at times he's made good saves this season, and at times he'll say he wants to do better. So that's because he is still relatively young as a goalkeeper and wants to improve, as he should do, and be on himself. And I think he can improve as much as all the team, and we can improve.
Is it good to play so soon afterwards, or could you have done with a few more days after that?
I'm not sure. It's the same for Arsenal. So from our point of view, yeah, we want to go and get a win. Obviously, it's going to be a very tough match. So I don't know about the space in between games. It's the same. So we just, obviously, after defeat, you do want to change the feeling and get a win straight away.
What have you made of Arsenal this season? Have you been surprised by their struggles?
Well, I'd say struggles. This Premier League is proving so competitive, and there are other teams that are in and around. A lot of teams Tottenham fancied to be in the top four, and Arsenal fancied to be in the top four because they normally do contest it. They still can do. So there's no. I wouldn't want to say anything is definite at this stage of the season. So, it's their problem, not mine. What I do know when I come up against them is they're a good team with good players who can hurt you. You see, I think, a bit of a change since Arteta's been in with some of their performances. We felt that in the first 30 minutes at the Emirates particularly. So we must be on guard and be at our best.
James?
Frank, in terms of players coming in and transfers, are you willing to look at maybe short-term fix, or does it need to be right for the long-term project here?
I think long-term in January is very difficult. We haven't seen so many. There are some deals. Haven't seen so many that come in. So I think if that's difficult, then short-term is certainly something I think we would look at, because I think there are issues that are pressing for this season for us now to finish where we want to get to. So in that term, if you have to look shorter term, then it's something we are looking at.
You spoke on Saturday about the players maybe need to take a bit of pressure off Tammy being the main goal scorer. Do a lot of the midfielders have the same mentality that you had as a player and want to get in the box and score?
Well, everyone's different. I wouldn't want to compare with my mentality, but I think from midfield we've had a fair share of goals, a few here and there. I think from wide areas we can get more. I think if you look at the successful teams over the last 2, 3, 4 seasons in the Premier League, the numbers of goals from their wide areas have been pivotal in what they produce, because it changes games. So not just to put it on them, I think we can have competition to try and score goals from all areas and on the pitch. And at the minute, as I say, it's more, probably our goal record probably doesn't stack up terribly against other teams in the Premier League, but it's more that we are controlling a lot of possession and creating a lot of chances. That's the chance conversion has been the issue.
Just finally from me, in terms of Mikel Arteta, he's had just over a month now. What have you made of his impact, and what type of Arsenal team you're expecting to face tomorrow compared to the one you faced in December?
Similar. I think his effect was pretty quick. It was quite sudden. I felt it when we played them. I think it was small tactical changes and maybe a boost, or an energy boost that can sometimes come with a change of manager. But from his side, I'm sure he wants a lot more time. So I think they are a good team. I think he is a good coach, and he does deserve and will get time, obviously, to get it right. But I think already he has had an effect, and I'm under no illusions about how tough the game will be.
Okay, last question, Nick.
Frank, so with Kepa, did he, you say obviously people take responsibility for their mistakes, did he sort of say that was his fault?
I didn't have a direct conversation with him after the game on that one.
I know it's obviously goalkeeping situations are amplified, aren't they? A bit like if a striker misses a chance, if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it's more obvious than it is for other players. Is that the big transition for, like you say, he's still relatively young, for a guy to go from good to great? Is the hardest thing with that for him to sort of just forget about all of that?
I'm sensitive to the fact that goalkeepers are, as I said before, under the microscope, and that brings another element to it, and I appreciate that can be tough. But I think it's like any player, like you say, a striker that maybe it's not going for him. I think the only thing to do is to work hard and keep your head down and be humble about how you work, and that's kind of what I try and push with everybody here, to do that. So that doesn't change for position by position. He's a good goalkeeper, we know that, and there have been times this season where he saved us points and with some of the clean sheets, and you're happy. And sometimes when we go, okay, is that an individual error or is that a team error? That can happen as well, and sometimes the goalkeeper takes the brunt of the fact that we haven't defended right as a team. So there are lots of different circumstances, and I don't want to dwell on it like it's a negative. It's a reality. We have to be honest, as all of us here, and if things don't go right, how can we make it better?
So you just have to keep on keeping on, effectively.
Yeah, I like the. Is that a play on words or not? Keep. I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
Something like that.
Carrie, last one.
Frank, a bit of a coaches' union question for you. Marcus Rashford out with a double back fracture. A lot of speculation as whether he should have been played beforehand, if that exacerbated the injury. But with backs in such a delicate issue, how difficult is it for managers to really have all the information?
Yeah, you can't criticise a manager for making a decision like that. Marcus Rashford has been incredible form this season. Scored nearly 20 goals, 19 goals. A huge factor in their team, and with hindsight is the most beautiful thing. And if you've got a player there that wants to play and has issues, I have that every week. There's probably somebody in your team that's like that. You have to make decisions, and I think I've heard managers get slated when they turn away from the FA Cup and play a second string team. And now I'm hearing managers getting slated for bringing on what could be one of their most important or best players to try and win a game in the FA Cup. You can't have it all ways.